Damas y caballeros, welcome to The Moral of the Story with Robert Solano. That is me. I am so excited for you to join me on this brand new podcast. In this podcast, I'm going to be sharing stories, fictional stories, written by me with the help of artificial intelligence and brought to life with the sound of AI voices. We're going to be exploring topics like entrepreneurship, resiliency, community, and also challenges that veterans face with PTSD and transitioning to civilian life as well. It is going to be so incredible. There's so many deep and meaningful topics and lessons learned, whether that's business lessons, life lessons, parenting lessons. I promise, tune in and you are going to have a really great time listening to this show. After each show, I'm going to do interviews, talk about the technology that I use to make the show, talk about some of the inspirations and lessons from the show. So be sure to stand by after the episode. But with that said, let's jump right in. In this season, we are joining Angel, an Army veteran who transitions from the military service to a civilian career. And so please enjoy this first episode, and I will see you after the show.
Second service, Prelude. The sun was beginning to set behind the jagged peaks of the Hindu Kush Mountains as our convoy of MRAPs rumbled down the narrow dirt road. I glanced over at my driver, Corporal Jenkins, his face illuminated by the dim glow of the dashboard lights. Beads of sweat glistened on his dark skin despite the evening chill seeping in through the bulletproof windows. I scanned the barren landscape stretching out before us. Mud huts and abandoned farms dotted the hillsides, unchanged for centuries. How's the route look, Jenkins?
Road's pretty rough, sir. Intel said this route hasn't been driven in months.
His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as we bounced over another pothole. I nodded grimly and keyed the radio handset. Bushwhacker 3-5, this is Outlaw 6. Checkpoint Delta reached, over.
Outlaw 6, Bushwhacker 3-5. Roger, Checkpoint Delta. No updates to report. Bushwhacker 3-5 out.
I hung up the receiver and gazed out at the desolate scenery, an uneasy feeling settling in my gut. We were completely alone out here. A group of Afghan farmers in tattered salwar kameez trudged along the side of the road, leading bony donkeys laden with bundles of firewood. They regarded our vehicles warily as we passed. I saw in their weathered faces the toll of decades of endless war.
Poor bastards. Hard to believe people still try to scrape out a living in a godforsaken place like this.
War's all they've ever known. Not much else to do but survive. Though I wondered how much longer even mere survival would be possible, as the Taliban noose tightened around the countryside. Up ahead, the lead vehicle slowed as we approached a rickety wood bridge over a bone-dry wadi. The MRAPs' heavy tires thumped across the uneven planks. On the other side, the road split in two. I rubbed my eyes, straining to make out our position on the blurry map. The red and blue lines denoting various routes seemed to swirl together in the feeble light. Victor 1 called over the radio.
Outlaw 6, this is Victor 1. We're at a fork. Which way? Over.
My throat tightened. The map provided no clear answers. I had to make the call. Victor 1, Outlaw 6, take the right fork, over.
Roger, taking the right, Victor 1 out.
I hope my voice sounded more confident than I felt. Something pulled me toward the right-hand path, an intuition I prayed was correct. As we snaked our way along the curving road, the mountains rose up on either side before vanishing into the clouds above. The pass narrowed until the cliff faces nearly scraped the sides of our MRAPs. Damn, I wish we had some Apaches watching over us right now.
Clouds are too low, sir. They'd never get through. We're on our own.
As if on cue, a deafening boom shattered the twilight calm. Ahead, I saw Victor 2 erupt in a massive fireball, the force of the blast flipping the vehicle onto its side. It skidded across the road in a shower of sparks and shattered glass before slamming into a crumbling stone structure, completely blocking the narrow pass.
IED, IED, Victor 2 is down.
The radio was deafening over the staccato of AK-47 fire erupting from the cliffs above. Contact left. All Victors return fire. Bushwhacker 3-5, Outlaw 6. Troops in contact at Mike X-ray 55347-854. Victor 2 is down, taking small arms fire from the east. Request immediate casts, over. But I already knew help would not arrive in time. The jagged peaks and low clouds rendered air support useless. We were in the fight of our lives, alone. My mind raced through our options as bullets pinged off the MRAP's armored hide. In the vehicle ahead, I watched the MRAPs, marked 250 cal, roar to life as Victor 3 returned fire up the hillside. Ahead of them, smoke rose from the flipped truck. Half on the road and half in the rubble of building, blocking the road, cutting off Victor 1 from the rest of the convoy. Victor 1, Outlaw 6, hold position, over. Scanning the hillside, I searched desperately for muzzle flashes to pinpoint the enemy positions, but the fading light obscured their locations as the ambush intensified. Time was running out. Gunners! Lay down suppressing fire, 11 o'clock high. Victor 3, dismount and retrieve any survivors from Victor 2. Soldiers poured from their vehicles, sprinting across the unprotected ground. I held my breath, dreading the sight of bodies dropping as they bravely dashed through the kill zone. The machine guns spitting rounds into the rugged slopes at unseen foes. Over the radio, panicked shouts punctured the din of gunfire.
Outlaw 3 has a man down. Outlaw 5 taking heavy fire.
A soldier reached Victor 2, spewing black smoke, and attempted to scale the side to reach the driver's hatch. Time seemed to slow as I watched through my scope. Get down! I screamed into the radio. Get! But it was too late. The crack of a single rifle shot pierced the mayhem, and the soldier crumpled lifelessly to the ground, tumbling off the burning vehicle into the dirt.
Man down, man down!
I felt bile rise in my throat, but forced it down. Outlaw 3, take cover in that house, I commanded, pointing at the clay and stone structure Victor 2 had crashed into. Secure a defensive position and hold the perimeter. Treat the wounded as best you can. Troops poured into the modest dwelling, dragging the injured and dead with them. Bullets snapped overhead as the enemy adjusted their aim. Someone shouts over the radio.
Where's that damn Cass?
They can't get through this soup. We're gonna have to slug this one out, boys. Just hold tight, conserve ammo. Bushwhacker 3-5 will get us out of this. We just need to buy time. As if to mock my words, the whistle of mortar rounds shrieked from above.
Incoming! Incoming!
The world exploded in a concussive blast of sound, pressure, and debris. I felt the shock wave slam into my chest as clods of earth rained down, rattling off my MRAP's battered armor. My ears rang in the sudden silence.
Where the fuck did they come from?
Jenkins coughed, wiping dirt from his eyes. The rear of our vehicle sagged. Jenkins put the vehicle in drive and tried to reposition, but the tires are shredded, axles mangled by the powerful explosions bracketing our position. We were immobilized, helpless. Bushwhacker 3-5, Outlaw 6, we are taking mortar fire. Request fire mission, over.
Send it.
Grid, Mike X-ray 5, 5477895, over.
Mike X-ray 554777895, over.
Infantry in open, fire for effect.
Fire for effect.
Switching to our team channel, I called over the radio. Victor 3, push Victor 2 off the road. See if you can clear a path. I watched as the vehicle ahead drove up to the downed truck, bullets ricocheting of their armor. Its tires spun in the mud as the driver tried to force the fallen vehicle off the road. Wedged on the pile of stone and concrete, the smoking 40,000-pound vehicle barely moved. Another mortar round lands somewhere behind us, causing our gunner to duck down in his turret.
Outlaw 6 shot over.
Shot out. As I waited for the artillery rounds to travel from the base 12 miles away, I prayed someone was still listening, that our desperate pleas would be answered, the seconds stretched to eternity. Suddenly, the earth shook with a different thunder, the boom of distant artillery. Geysers of stone and soil erupted along the ambush site as 155mm shells pummeled the mountainside. The mortar fire ceased, and for a brief, shining moment I dared to hope. But the small arms fire resumed, shattering my brief optimism. Muzzle flashes danced in the gathering dark. We were still very much in the fight. I glanced at the shell-shocked faces of my soldiers, their ashen expressions mirroring my own grim realization. We might not make it out of this wretched pass. The stench of burned rubber, diesel, and cordite hung thick in the air, mingling with the coppery scent of blood. Someone was moaning in pain behind me. We had already taken too many casualties. I yelled over the incessant crack of gunfire. "Conserve your ammo and stay down. Only engage confirmed targets." Suddenly, our gunner slumped over in his harness, a dark crimson stain spreading across his chest. "Medic!" I screamed, knowing it was futile, as I fumbled for a compress. Coulson's head lolled grotesquely as I pressed the bandage against the gushing wound. He was gone. "Jenkins, get on the 50 cal!" In a daze, I heard myself calling for the quick reaction force over the radio, my voice sounding distant and hollow. Bushwhacker 35, Outlaw 06, requesting immediate QRF to Checkpoint Echo. We are in danger of being overrun. Over. The reply was laced with static.
Outlaw 6, QRF, 4 hours out.
The transmission dissolved into garbled noise. 4 hours. We had to survive 4 more hours of this hell. I wasn't sure we had 4 minutes worth of ammo and luck left. As the night dragged on, minutes bleeding into hours, we fought like men possessed, rationing bullets, firing only when we had a clear shot, listening helplessly to the screams of the wounded in the house, unable to reach them. The flames consuming the vehicle ahead cast eerie, dancing shadows over the macabre scene. Specialist Coulson stared glassy-eyed at the roof of the MRAP, a specter of accusation. How had I gotten us into this mess? Doubt gnawed at me. Had I chosen the wrong route? Led us into a trap? The weight of command settled over me like a shroud. As the first pale fingers of dawn began to paint the eastern sky, the staccato of gunshots started to peter out, replaced by the ominous silence of dwindling ammo. The enemy could sense our increasing desperation. I was contemplating a final suicidal charge to reach Outlaw 3 when the radio crackled to life.
Outlaw 6, Bushwhacker 35 actual. Cass is inbound, 2 Apaches, ETA 2 minutes, pop smoke over your position, over.
I almost sobbed with relief, hardly daring to believe. With numb fingers, I fumbled a smoke canister from my belt, handing it to Jensen to throw out the turret. The rising sun was just burning off the last stubborn clouds as the muffled thump-thump of rotors began to echo off the canyon walls, building to a deafening crescendo. The Apaches swooped over the ridgeline like avenging angels, chain guns spewing tongues of fire at our unseen adversaries. Their rockets erupted the earth, gravel dinging off the hood of my MRAP. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. An eerie quiet settled over the defile. The only sounds were the soft ticking of cooling metal from Victor II's blackened husk, and the distant wails of the wounded. I clambered stiffly down from the ruined MRAP, knees nearly buckling as my boots touched the blood-stained earth. Around me, soldiers emerged from cover, blinking like naked mole rats in the harsh light, cradling weapons, checking fallen friends for signs of life. The elation of survival slowly gave way to the grim reckoning of our losses, of the burden of leadership and the price of our choices, of roads not taken and the vagaries of war that turn one path into salvation and another into tragedy. I looked to the singed and pockmarked cliff faces as if they could provide some deeper truth, some lesson to take from this place of grief. But the ancient stone held its secrets close, and I turned my heavy steps toward the waiting medevacs, knowing I would carry the weight of this day as long as I drew breath.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that first episode, the prelude to the rest of the season. The rest of the season, every episode is going to be a new chapter of Angel's story as he transitions from military service to civilian career. And if you didn't notice, that whole story wasn't me talking. That whole story was narrated by artificial intelligence. And I look forward to talking through that process, that technology, how I think that technology is going to shape storytelling in the future. But personally, I love it because not only does my clone sound very similar to me, but it allows me to tell a story with other unique voices that I would not be able to tell otherwise. So if you like it, hit subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, shoot me a note, and please tune in for the next episode where we continue Angel's story. Thanks, everybody. Take care.